Live from Wisconsin, it's Play That Rock and
Roll. Well, I've been looking forward to this. I've been agonizing about this list.
Yeah. Oh, good, good. I knew a little bit about Jimmy outside of Zeppelin, but not a lot.
Oh,
And
okay.
did some exploring over the last couple of weeks, and I've discovered some things.
Oh,
So
nice.
my list is not all my old favorites. My list has some stuff that's new to me.
Oh,
But
I see the Death Wish 2.
yeah, let me bring this into the screen because I'm
Look,
proud of that one.
got this.
Ooh, okay. I see some. Oh, is that the devil one?
The Lucifer Rising.
Lucifer Rising.
Yeah, it's got Lucifer Rising, but it also has Death Wish on it, and it's got outtakes from both on it. It's wild, and it's funny because none of those made my list.
Oh, okay.
But I had to pull it out because that one's kind of hard to find, or at least it's not cheap anymore.
I'd say now is a good time for us to kick off our list of our top 10 favorite Jimmy Page songs outside of Led Zeppelin. But before we do the list, you picked the man we're talking about today, Jimmy Page. So
Yes.
tell me a little bit about why was he the first name that came to mind? What makes you such a fan of his?
When I was growing up, I was little. My first real records came from my mom. My dad was big into like bluegrass and country. Um, he liked classical and opera. My mom liked rock. I mean, she would buy records, listen to it for a little bit, and then just hand them over to us. I'm like, I've listened to that enough. Here you go. And so, like, my first stack of records was like Elton John's greatest hits, Beatles, Rubber Soul, Led Zeppelin 4. Um, Gosh, what else? Seals and Crofts, just
Oh yeah.
Steely Dan, all kinds of stuff. And so, the one of the first musicians that I remember really grabbing my brain, it was Jimmy Page. When I heard um, Black Dog and When the Levee Breaks, it kind of broke my brain a bit because I knew about instruments, I knew about guitars, and I knew what they sounded like until I heard Jimmy, and so I'm like, that sound is incredible. What else has he done? And so then I went back, and every time I earned a little bit of money or I had a birthday or Christmas, I would ask for a Led Zeppelin album. And so that grew into, well, all right, so there's a limited number of Led Zeppelin albums. What else has he done? Oh, he was in The Firm. And that's kind of how I really remember Jimmy Page. The first time I ever heard him was the song Radioactive.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. And then my mom gives me Led Zeppelin 4, and I'm like, oh, same guy. You mean you can be in different bands?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that was possible. I thought when you're a band, that was it. And then I started researching and getting magazines and trying to discover just, then he came out with Outrider, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I know Jimmy Page. I know this guy. I'm gonna grab this. And so it just kind of grew. And I just love his tone. And I also love the fact that his playing, while complex, still comes across, and I hate to use the word sloppy, but still comes across like like he's not concerned that, oh, that didn't come across exactly right. There's an ease to his playing that I absolutely love.
Yeah, I think what you're saying about his guitar playing is right. There's a freedom to that where it's
Yes.
not super like Radioactive, the Firm, that's coming out in the super polished '80s,
Yep.
but he was still a little more loose in
Uh,
that run. So let's start with your number 10.
okay, my number 10. I kind of went back and forth on this. It was very difficult. I had two songs in mind. Um, and the one that I don't pick is going to end up in my honorable mentions. So I'm kind of picking this one on the fly right now.
Okay, here we go.
So I'm going to go with Baby Please Don't Go by Them.
Oh, all right.
He came in and did that insane guitar for Van Morrison's first band, Them. And when you hear it, you're like, oh, I know that song. and Baby Please Don't Go, and it's just that noodly riff is just incredible. To me, it sounds so unique for that time. That wild noodly riff he played for Baby Please Don't Go. That has definitely put that into number 10 for me.
Very good. Yeah. My number 10 was a song I had never heard of until just a couple of days ago because it's that exploration I was talking about. It's a
Okay.
song called Flashing Lights from a group called Lord Such and Heavy Friends.
Yep. Yep.
Great beat, great guitar. I have no idea who Lord Such is. I listened to that whole album and like there's a couple of good
Oh,
songs on there, but like Flashing Lights felt Zeppelin-y and in all the best ways. Like it's got a really good beat to that. And that
yeah.
knocked off a song I was sure was going to be on this list. Now it goes to honorable mentions.
That song it's one of the, like you said, the few good tracks on that. And Lord Such is a lunatic. I mean, he was this drunk English pub singer, and he literally scammed people into doing that album. And
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think any of those guys ever got paid for what they did because it was Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck's on there. I think Clapton's on there.
Yeah.
Um, John Bonham's on some stuff. Keith Moon,
John Paul Jones.
John
I
Paul
mean, that's a
Jones.
star-studded record.
It really is, but it's not good except for a couple tracks.
Couple of tracks, yeah.
And it is he's called Screaming Lord Such for a reason. The music, a lot of music isn't exactly memorable either, but Flashing Lights is definitely one of the highlights on that quote unquote album.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
That collection of songs, collection
yeah,
of tracks.
from enormous players at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of crazy. It's not a good sign when you have that amount of firepower on a record and no one's ever heard of it.
Yeah, exactly,
But there
exactly.
are some gems. Okay, what is your number 9?
My number 9 comes from the Coverdale Page album,
Mm.
and it's not either of the bigger singles that was on that. It's a song called Easy Does It. And the
Oh,
reason I picked that is because to me, it's got my favorite parts from the two big singles from that album, Pride and Joy and Shake My Tree. If you listen to Easy Does It, it's got a little bit of each of those songs in it, and it's got this middle riff that is just dirty, and I love it. It's so bluesy, and it's excellent Page. And that was a weird era for Jimmy. I mean, he got a lot of flack for teaming up with David Coverdale because he's famously a Robert Plant wannabe. But I loved the album when it came out. I think some of it was a little bit more on the white snaky
yeah.
radio friendly side, but Jimmy lets loose a few times, and Easy Does It just has all those great elements from the best of that album, all in one song.
Yeah. Yeah, I think well said about that band. Another oddity about them was it was a little late for both of them. You
Yeah,
know, had they teamed up in like '89, I think that would have been a big move. But
yeah,
'93, you're already into grunge, and there was a backlash. You know.
exactly. But and that was the thing. I was huge into grunge from like 90, 91. I started. I had Mother Love Bone when Temple the Dog came out. I'd heard about
Oh,
that. I read about that. I went and bought it the day it came out. So I loved grunge, but Jimmy was such my guy that Coverdale Page came out. I waited, and now you may remember this because I'm not sure how far apart we are in age, but when records would come out on Tuesdays, and
okay. Yeah.
if it was a popular artist, a lot of record stores would open up midnight and
Oh,
start
yeah, yeah.
selling the albums. And I did that. I was in college at the time up in Rochester, New York, and we drove to the House of Guitars, and me and my buddy Dave, and we went there and I picked it up at midnight. There was a small line, but there was a line. So,
Yeah.
but I that's how much I love Jimmy. I was like, Jimmy's coming out with anything. If Jimmy burped on an album, I wanted it.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of that way. So,
Yeah. Okay, my number 9 is an album I'm gonna bring up a couple of times today. The opening track from The Firm, Closer. One of my
Nice.
favorites. Uh, I think what The Firm did pretty well was they had good opening tracks. I like Closer. You have Fortune Hunter on Mean Business.
Yeah.
That's the only good song on that record.
I will fight you on that one. I'm going to
Okay.
argue with that.
But I'll just say we're going to talk about The Firm a couple of times tonight. I'll just leave it at that. I love the way that The Firm album opens with a song
Yeah.
called Closer.
I I love that first album, and I really like the second one. I don't love it, but it's to me it's got some really awesome stuff, and I've got a few bootlegs of The Firm from that era, and live it's amazing. They kind of get a different energy live, and it's really good.
Here, I'll show you this. This is something I bought on eBay. I don't know if it'll come through here. Hold on.
Oh, a button.
It's a button for The Firm's concert at the Milwaukee Arena, the Mecca Arena here in Milwaukee on March 7th, 1985. 93 QFM welcomes The Firm.
Oh man,
So, had I been around in 85, that would have been a great show to see, but I got a little piece of memorabilia from it.
that is cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. What's your number 8?
Number 8 is another one that I'm kind of going back and forth on, and the other one will be a honorable mention. Which apparently I'm gonna have like 5 honorable mentions at
This
this
is a
point.
tough list.
Oh, it is. I'm going with "Goodnight, Sweet Josephine," the phased U.S. version by the Yardbirds.
Oh, okay, right on.
So if you want to hear some proto Led Zeppelin, pick up Little Games and put on "Goodnight, Sweet Josephine." But there's two different versions. There's just the regular single mix, and then there's the phased US version. It sounds like a Yardbird song, happy and kind of poppy until
Yeah.
Jimmy's guitar kicks in, and then it's phased and it's swirling, it's distorted, and it's insane. And then the guitar solo he does, it sounds like it could be right off of Led Zeppelin 2.
Oh,
It's unbelievable. And it's just a killer track that gets forgotten about.
yeah. Yeah, the Yardbirds are kind of unsung heroes from that era. Like I like 60s rock. So if I'm listening to a playlist with like that era of rock and Yardbirds is in there, I'm game. But
Oh
I
yeah.
think when I put that stuff up against, other eras of Jimmy, he just evolved. He just got better as he got older. But, what you're talking about is you see these early flashes.
Yeah, and his time in the Yardbirds was fairly short. I mean, he joined as a bassist in '66, and then '67, I think it was. He was trying. It was They had dueling guitarists with Jimmy and Jeff Beck.
Yeah, what a show
That
that
was
would be.
that they only recorded 3 songs together, and then that that kind of Jeff left, and then Jimmy was kind of stuck, and Keith Ralph was all strung out on drugs, and so Jimmy kind of took control of the band, and that's when Little Games came out, and it was kind of what he it was like him gradually moving the Yardbirds from the pop sound to more of a psychedelic sound to get to what he wanted, which was the Led Zeppelin sound, but it fell apart.
Okay, well, you went back to the 60s for your number 8. For my number 8, I'm going deeper into the 80s. One you mentioned a little bit ago, the single Wasting My Time from the Outrider album. Great music video for that.
Yes,
And I think I know why Jimmy teamed up with David Coverdale a couple years later, because he picked, some nobody to sing for him, and that didn't move any records.
I know.
He
I
was a
know.
good singer. The guy's a good singer. Sounds great on the record. But I know a lot about 80s singers, and I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah, this is in Miles. Was that his first name or his last name?
John
John.
Miles.
Yes, John Miles is on there. Okay, Jason Bonham plays drums.
Yeah.
Chris Farlow. Chris
Oh,
Farlow.
yeah.
It's funny because I do have music from that, but I did not pick that one. But that is one of my favorite tracks off that album. That's the first video that I saw of Jimmy. So doing all his
You know,
weird
Yeah. Well,
pointing.
it seems like his move is to stare directly down the camera and just
Yeah.
play right at you.
Yes.
He did
Yeah.
that
And
with the
everybody's
sperm too, and it's funny.
yeah. Everybody's like, hey, just do what you do. Pretend the camera's not here. And Jimmy's like, no, I'm gonna stare into your soul.
I'm gonna pretend the band isn't here.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the camera.
That's probably closer to the
Yeah.
truth. Okay, number 7 is, so if you have just started digging deep into non-Zeppelin Page, you might not be familiar with this song. It's by Roy Harper, and it's called Bank of the Dead.
Ooh, yes, I did listen to that record.
That whole Life Mask album is incredible. But Jimmy appears on Bank of the Dead. He may appear on one other track on the album, but he was on that and Stormcock. And I chose Bank of the Dead because it has that song remains the same sound to the guitar he's playing with it. As soon as he plays the first note, you're like, oh, that's Jimmy. You can
Mm-hmm.
hear it. Sounds like he recorded it at Headley Grange for around 4, or song remains the same. It's undeniably Jimmy. Even if he doesn't, I think on Life Mask he does get credited as Jimmy Page, but on Stormcock he's credited as S. Flavius Mercurius.
Oh, okay.
So
What do you know about Roy Harper? Because this is a name I've heard of because I know Tony Franklin played with those guys before they did the Firm, but
yep,
I never heard of Roy outside of his connections to Jimmy. Oh, I
Roy.
guess there was a Pink Floyd connection maybe, but I don't
Yeah,
know much.
he sang on Have a Cigar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was a folk singer from the '60s that a lot of big bands loved. Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, obviously, they loved it. He would open up for Led Zeppelin on tours once they were headliners. He went out. They wrote a song for him. Hats off to Roy Harper, which is one of my favorite Zeppelin tracks. It's so weird.
Yeah.
There's a demo version that's even better than the one they put on the album. It's wild. Um, but yeah, that was it. So they just loved his brashness. I mean, he was total anti-establishment, and he would just go out there by himself and just play on an acoustic. And Jimmy loved that. And so they brought him on tour, and then Jimmy would go out and play with him. And so I guess they struck up a friendship, and occasionally Roy would ask him to play on a couple of his albums. And then in 1984, they released an album together, Whatever Happened to Jugular, which for the longest time was hard to find. And I bought the album on an import.
Okay, I do have one from there, but it's not my number 7. My number 7 is now we're going to a project you talked about, the Coverdale Page album. I picked one of the singles. I picked Pride and Joy. Again, I like the music video. My thing is like, obviously I see the criticisms of him teaming up with Coverdale, but one of the criticisms I don't have is that the music is bad. Like I think the music is pretty good.
Yeah.
It may be formulaic because he's again clearly modeled after Robert Plant, but
Yeah.
that's a formula Jimmy knows would work.
Yeah.
And he spent the whole 80s watching all of these hair metal guys rip off his Led Zeppelin moves, his Led Zeppelin style and sound. And I have to think at some point he was just like, well, I might as well get in on this and grab one of those singers and actually get paid because you don't get paid for influence,
Right. Well, not then.
No, certainly not. Yeah.
But
So yeah, I like that song. My only criticism is you got to put that one in title jail because there's already a song called Pride and Joy.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And as a music nerd, I get a little picky when bands do that when they borrow a song title that's already been used effectively.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you can't, you can't do better than Stevie. So
Exactly.
number 6 is from I believe it's the last album Jimmy actually released of music. It's the Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, Walking into Clarksdale album. It's the song Blue Train. I love Blue Train, that gentle groove, and then it just kind of kicks in at the end, but it doesn't blow you away when it kicks in. It just kind of takes it up a step, and I don't know, I love the whole groove of that song, and it's his tone.
Well, a song with "Train" in the title's got to have a good groove.
Oh yeah.
And and I do like it's like what you're saying is like, yeah, the new stuff from 1998.
Yeah.
You know so much more about him than I do. Do you know why he has become such a recluse with music? Like he hasn't put out a lot of stuff. He's certainly not toured as a solo artist
No.
in the 21st century. Like, did something happen with him, or what's the deal?
Not that I'm aware of. I've had his daughter and his girlfriend on the podcast. So both named Scarlett, by the way. So Scarlett Page and Scarlett Sabet have
And
both
who's
been on the
who's
podcast.
younger?
His girlfriend,
Yeah,
for sure, 100%. But they're both amazing. Scarlett is an incredible photographer, and I had her on to talk photography, and it was awesome. And because she shot one of my favorite bands, The Verve, during their
Oh,
Northern Soul tour. So, um, and then Scarlett is just a wonderful poet and just the sweetest person. I want to say I thought about asking him a little bit, but I didn't want it. You know that when they get asked to do stuff, it's always going to be, what about Jimmy, Jimmy? And I kind of
yeah,
wanted to stay away from it. So I don't think I ever actually asked them, but my feeling is that he's been more concerned with the legacy
yeah,
of Led Zeppelin and kind of curating that and being a gatekeeper to it. Um, and he's said in interviews that he's written stuff, but none of it's come out. I don't know that it'll come out until it's like posthumously. I
yeah.
I just don't know. Unfortunately, the latest thing he's done was he produced. Scarlett Sabet did a spoken word album. He
Oh,
produced it, but he doesn't play anything on it. It's because
yeah,
it's just her doing her poetry, and it's a beautiful album. It sounds amazing, but he's just a producer. Um, and I think he's just kind of enjoying his time. Not He's
yeah.
got no stress. He doesn't have to worry about putting out any music. He can just continue to remaster Led Zeppelin albums, put extra tracks on them. Although my understanding is that there isn't a whole lot that's worth putting out that they put out. So they haven't
Yeah.
put out, I should say.
Well, it's cool that he takes the role of being like a vanguard for that band seriously, because
Yeah.
I'm sure you and I can think of a whole bunch of our favorite bands that deserve someone to be doing that to the archive, but are asleep at the wheel or don't want to, or
Yeah.
maybe don't own the rights, or for whatever reason, and we're not getting those re-releases and not getting the concert films and stuff like that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
don't begrudge him for not going out on the road, but unfortunately, I never had a chance to see him.
Yeah. Me
Uh,
me either. I mean, though I was still too young when he was doing the Outrider tour, and I never got a chance to see Page and Plant. It was just too expensive. So
oh yeah.
I I
Yeah.
unfortunately, but so
Speaking of Page and Plant, my number six is not from one of those albums from the '90s. We'll go back just a few years to a Robert Plant solo album that Jimmy played on, Heaven Knows, which from Now and Zen, a great Plant album.
yeah.
Cool music video. The top comment on the music video was like, "This sounds like the theme song of a lost James Bond movie." And that hit so hard for me because that's exactly what it sounded like. And
Yep.
I love James Bond music. So, very cool vibe. And it's cool that those guys stayed friends and stayed collaborators, because
Yeah.
like so many of those bands from that era, all those guys had such ego problems that you couldn't
Yeah.
even be in the same room with each other. And Plant and Jimmy found a way around that. And cause even though both those guys have huge egos, they still like managed to make great music with each other.
But the
And I
funny
would
thing,
put that song up with just about anything,
oh
from Zeppelin.
yeah, I mean, and it's funny because all the hype around those two ever since Zeppelin split was that they didn't get along, which is why they never got a new drummer and kept Led Zeppelin going, or they never reunited and played music until they came out with that Unleaded album in the early '90s. And it's not true at all. So
Right.
it's
Yeah, they
amazing.
stayed in touch.
It's all industry garbage.
Okay, what do you got for number five? We're at the halfway point here.
No, number 5 is Emerald Eyes from the Outrider album.
Oh yes.
It's got a weird sound to it. It almost sounds like at one point he's like the guitar is a little flat, almost out of tune, but I love it. It's just a weird little flatness to the acoustic part on it, and it's a very odd sound, and it's just really cool. But that was one of my very first favorites on that album. Wasting My Time, it's the first song I ever heard off of it. But then when I got the album Emerald Eyes, I'm like, oh, I like this. This is a little different.
One cool thing about when guitarists go solo is that they very often are not afraid to do those instrumentals. Like I like that one a lot too, but the one I have, I'll get to in my honorable mentions. I have an instrumental piece as well,
Cool.
From around that era. So yes, that's a good pick for number 5. My number 5 is I'm going back to the album we were talking about, Whatever Happened to Jugular. I picked Hangman. That song is awesome.
I was gonna pick
was
that,
a real
so
cool discovery. What's
yeah,
that?
I was going to choose that, and I'm like, I really like it, but there's a couple others that I like more, so I'm gonna put that one off.
Well, Hangman for me, when I was, because it's a long song, it's like 7 minutes. So I'm
Yeah,
sitting and I'm listening to it, and as he's singing the words Hangman, in my mind, I'm picturing like a Clint Eastwood spaghetti western. I'm
yeah,
picturing like Clint, getting the noose around him and someone, going to break him out or something. Like
yeah.
I know that's not exactly what the song's about, but it had such a I don't know, vibe, a feel to it that like it fit in well with those sort of visuals. And again, I love that stuff. And that was a discovery for me because I had never listened to that Roy Harper album.
Roy's vocals on that are so emotive.
Yes.
That's part of what it does. It's got a really cool riff to it. The bass of the song is really, really great. But pair it with his vocal delivery, and it's
Well,
incredible.
yeah, he's so passionate. I mean, he's
Yeah,
angry. That's an
yeah,
angry song.
exactly.
All right, number 4.
Number 4, I chose the Honey Drippers' "Sea of Love." That guitar solo is just perfect. Absolutely, it's perfectly played. It's perfect for that song on that album or EP. Really, there's only 5 songs on it, I think. But I remember that coming out. I remember seeing the video and watching, and then Jimmy Page playing that beautiful solo. And they're out, and you can on the rocks. I mean, it looks like they're in Greece or something. I don't know where they're hell at, but the water is so crystal blue. It's I just remember like that is gorgeous. And I knew it was a cover. I knew the original because my dad was huge into doo-wop also. That's
Oh yeah.
he's bluegrass country, but doo-wop and 50s music he was huge into. And so I knew the original. I'm like, that's a really cool cover. And I wasn't huge into Zeppelin yet at that
Yeah.
point. So I was just like, that sounds really good. That's a good cover. I remember thinking that at the time. They did that really well. It's very tactful.
My number 4, I'm going back to the one I brought up earlier for the firm. My
Nice.
number 4 pick is Someone to Love. That's
Nice.
a fun one. That song stands out because of Tony Franklin's bass. That you can just hear that all through.
Yeah.
But Jimmy is still really good on it. Tony doesn't totally steal the show. And when you talk about songs that are like memorable, like Someone to Love sticks with you. And yeah, I just like it a lot. I like this whole album, but when you talk about what are the first songs that come to mind, Someone to Love, not Somebody to Love, so
Right.
not Title Jail for that one. But I think I had to put that one pretty high on the list because I like that era for Jimmy. I love the firm.
That band is incredible. I mean, you had Jimmy Page on guitar, you had Paul Rogers on vocal, Chris Slade, who
Oh
has
yeah,
been on the podcast. So Chris Slade
yeah.
on drums and Tony Franklin on bass. I'm obsessed, and I have been ever since the firm with Tony Franklin's bass because that was the first time I heard. That's the first time I can remember ever hearing a fretless bass, and
Oh yeah.
is incredible. And he's on Whatever Happened to Jugular, which I found later. He ended up being in the band Blue Murder, which I love
Oh
Blue
yeah.
Murder. And he's just done some incredible stuff. And I know it's not the Tony Franklin podcast, so I'll get off of that soapbox.
No. By all means, yeah. I'm a fan of his too. I just saw him. Well, not just saw him. About a year and a half ago, I saw him with Lou Gramm in Northern Illinois. I made the trip to because I thought Lou Gramm was imminently retiring. I did not realize Lou's been saying that for 10 years now. So I thought that was my last chance to see him. And but they were great. Like they were really good. It was cool to see Tony. Okay, we are getting down to it. We are getting to the real meat of the show here. Top 3. This is elite tier now. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is a cover. It's the song "Rude World" by Raynor Tachik, who's in Giant Sand, and by Page and Plant. It's
Okay.
it's on an album called The Inner Flame, and it's a tribute to Raynor. I think he had passed from cancer or something, if I remember correctly. And go check this out because there's a lot of like electronic drums and processed drums and all. But when Jimmy's guitar kicks in, it's just this thick, bubbly. Oh, it sounds like molten tar bubble. It's just unbelievable. This he does a guitar solo on it, unlike anything I've heard before or since. It's just it sounds like what he was trying to do during Dazed and Confused live with the theremin and all, but he's doing it with his guitar. It sounds like he's kind of figured out what he actually wanted to do with the mixing the theremin and the guitar and all. It's I can't even describe it. The guitar solo, it just sounds like nothing else I've ever heard. And I recommend you check it out. I recommend anybody who listening to this who has not heard the song "Rude World" by Page and Plant, go listen to it now. Pause this and go listen to it because you'll just you'll be like, my mind's blown. I've never heard anything like it.
This one I've totally missed. That one didn't even pop up when I was looking around, so I'm totally a stranger to this. What year is this from?
That was from the mid '90s.
Midnight. Okay.
Yeah, let's see. I think
This
I've got it
this
right
is
over
during
here.
their partnership run. All right, for my number 3, this might be basic of me, but I am going back to one of my favorites, and this will be my last firm selection. Radioactive. I'm going with the single. I like singles. That was the single that brought me to that band.
Yep.
And that's why I listened to the albums. I really love Radioactive. I know I learned this. I learned that it was actually Paul who wrote the guitar solo.
Yes.
Which seems, that is wild to me. Like, I don't know how you do a super group and then you don't have Jimmy Page do the guitar solo. Like, that seems so wrong-headed.
It is so funny you mentioned that because that's one reason why I didn't pick that song because I do love that song. And I remember hearing recently.
Scratches at least and
Yeah.
the riff. Yeah.
Well, I remember, I think I heard an interview with Paul within the past 6 months. And I think he went to show Jimmy and Jimmy tried it and Jimmy was like, "You do it. I don't even want to do it. You do it." So I don't think it's like he didn't want Jimmy to do it. I think Jimmy's just like, "That's all you, man."
Oh, wow. Jimmy looks great in the video. Again, doing that staring at the camera shtick.
Yeah.
So yes, I because of the involvement, I thought about putting it lower, but it's just like, no. This is my top 10 list of my favorites that he's on. It doesn't matter how much he contributed.
That's and I went through the same process, and I'm just like, I'm gonna pass on it, basically for the same reasons. But you took it, and I passed on it. So
I hear you. Okay, talking about elite territory, man. Number 2.
Number 2 is finally hitting the Unleaded album with Jimmy Page and Robert Plant. "Wonderful One."
Okay.
That song is so beautiful. The guitar, it's just everything's so gentle on it, and Robert's singing is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favorite songs Jimmy's ever written. Led Zeppelin, his solos, anything. I love that song so much.
I don't know what my hangups with the reunion or partnership era, whatever you want to call it, of the '90s was. I enjoyed listening to all of it, but I think it just might be my own personal tastes. Like, I like '80s stuff.
Yeah.
'90s stuff is not so much for me. But I couldn't, my problem was I couldn't help but compare it in my mind to classic Zeppelin, which is not
Yeah.
fair. But
No,
I had a hard time getting over that.
well, it's tough because
Uh,
Robert's singing is a lot different, and I think that's probably what
yes.
a lot of the hang up is. It's not necessarily the songs; it's just Robert's vocal delivery changed a lot because he's getting older. He can't hit those notes anymore, and he kind of went closer to uh, not like kind of like what Bob Dylan did, where he's finally accepting the limitations of his aging voice. Although Bob sounds like he's in a black metal band now,
Yes.
Robert still sings.
Yes. About to say, you could call what Robert does singing.
Yeah,
Different case with Bob.
yeah. Oh God.
Okay. My number 2 pick is one I've been waiting to bring up this whole time from this beauty of an album, Death Wish 2, the song on the intro credits, Who's to Blame?
Nice.
This is such a sleazy, trashy, violent, gory, brutal movie. And I was thinking about this earlier today. And it's Death Wish 2, What
Yeah.
the hell is Jimmy Page, who's not a soundtrack artist? He's not Lindsey Buckingham or Kenny Loggins out here. What
Right.
is he doing on this weird ass grindhouse movie?
Uh,
And why is he bringing his A game? I love Who's to Blame. I love some of the instrumental pieces. The music sounds like the music from a horror movie.
yeah. I
Yeah.
I almost chose a song from there, but I was going to go with Prelude. So,
Oh yeah.
but I think that's a Chopin cover or something like that. I'm trying to
Okay.
remember. It's a his interpretation of of a classical piece. I don't remember who composed it, but
Yeah. Have you seen Death Wish 2?
long time ago. And much like the soundtrack, I watched it once and put it down.
Yeah.
I like the soundtrack in parts, and I am a completist, and which is why I have that soundtracks. I also got it because it's the first like legitimate release of Lucifer Rising, which I had a
Oh yeah.
bootleg. I had a bootleg of, but it's weird because I think what I had is like a demo or a black mass, or I don't know. It sounds evil. It sounds so
Yeah.
scary. I don't know what the hell it is I have on my bootleg, but it's not what's on this album here. So, but
That's funny. Yeah.
yeah, he did a few tracks on from uh, Death Wish 2 live when he toured for Outrider,
Yeah.
and when he would do his, the instrument, the solo bits with the Firm. Um, so it's good stuff. Some of it's really good stuff. For me, just songs like um, uh, Hotel Rats and Photostats
Yeah.
and
Yeah. What we got over here?
Sax, Drugs and Violence, or whatever it's called.
Big band, sax, and violence.
Yeah, big bands. Those kind of corny, but like Carol's theme, they're good.
Sh- yeah. Shadow in the City, cool instrumental piece. What I like about Who's to Blame is I like the one with lyrics, and I also like the one in the movie over the intro credits without lyrics. Like
Yeah.
it's a cool piece, whether you got the guy singing or not. That's a compliment to the song. I would just say if you revisit the movie, you'll probably have to take a shower after. Pretty slimy.
Consider myself warned. Like I said,
Yeah.
I think I saw it in the late '80s, and I think it was even before I realized Jimmy had done the soundtrack to
Oh,
it. So,
sure. Okay, well, this is it. The moment we've all been waiting for, our number 1 spot. Before you say yours, I'll just say I think mine might offend you because I had where I pulled it from. But so we'll say for everybody tuning in, this is the serious number 1 pick, and then I'll have mine.
all right. So what I want you to do is turn around, go pick up your Firm album again, the first one,
Good one.
because my number 1 track, Jimmy Page, non-Led Zeppelin songs, is Midnight Moonlight.
Ooh, yeah.
That,
Yeah.
to me, is the ultimate Jimmy Page song. He started writing that when with Led Zeppelin, didn't finish it, and then finished it with The Firm. And it is 9 minutes of every sound you can imagine Jimmy Page making from Led Zeppelin through The Firm. Every album is represented in that song. And it's just, the acoustic bits in it are just sublime. The whole song, it has what Jimmy wanted, light and shade.
Yeah.
And it's just my favorite song that maybe he's ever written.
Well, what's cool about that one is that that's really the only one off The Firm that feels like a Zeppelin track, because it's so epic. It's long, but it earns the ability to be that length.
Yeah.
And Paul, the thing with Robert Plant is that he's one of the best singers ever. So you can't just have someone, and this maybe is the problem with the Outrider album. You can't just have somebody fill that spot. You need a pedigree. You need someone, who's approaching Robert's level, and Paul Rodgers absolutely does. He sounds so good on that one.
He really does. And it's an epic track. You nailed it. That's all anybody needs to know. If you haven't heard it, again, go check it out, but make sure you got about 9 minutes to spare.
Right, yes. Well, again, that is a great pick for the real list here, the serious, the Jimmy Page solo non-Zeppelin list. My number one is going to make a lot of people roll their eyes, but I went with songs that I love, that he's a part of. And I'm a big Rolling Stones guy, and unlike most people, I like what the Stones were doing in the 80s, and One Hit to the Body is one of my absolute favorite Rolling Stones song. That's a top 10 Stones song for the whole career for me. And Jimmy, kind of steals the show in that. He kind of waltzes into that band because they were too dysfunctional to even get a guitar solo down.
Yeah.
And he kind of steals it from him for a few seconds there. And that's my number one pick. That's my favorite song that he's on outside of Zeppelin.
I love the solo he did on that. And it's amazing to think that as the Rolling Stones were more dysfunctional than a heroin using Jimmy Page, who was able to come in and do a guitar solo for that album.
Yeah. And because they were already dealing with one, Charlie Watts was so strung out on the same stuff, and they're like, yeah, let's get another guy doing the same thing.
Exactly. Maybe two negatives make a positive.
Right, and then at least on that song, it kind of does.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. What a fun list. I like that we did not have any crossover, because you know what? We touched on, we definitely had some of the same projects.
Yeah.
Firm, Coverdale Page, Roy Harper, the Outrider album. We definitely have a lot of things in common. I'm a little more entry level. You're expert level. So
I was kind of surprised when I saw how many Firm picks you did, that we didn't have any overlap with the Firm.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. So this is why we podcast, to connect and talk about these great songs, and to get these recommendations. Like I said, I checked out a bunch of new songs. You mentioned a bunch that I want to hear, so I'm going to be listening to that. But absolutely, we will keep in touch, and we'll do this again.
Yeah, and I would definitely want to invite you on the podcast. I have a lot of my guests come on a second time, and we talk about a kind of like what we did here, a completely different topic. Either it's a genre, an artist, or a list of stuff that the guest wants to help promote or thinks is underrepresented, something like that. And I put together a little panel, maybe 2 to 3 people, and we just talk for an hour. I'm looking forward to it. Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me.